Have you ever wondered how a central bank, the apex financial institution in the country, the Reserve Bank of India, makes money? In this episode of The Third Empire, we will talk about the RBI and how it goes about its financial operations and its impact on India's economic landscape. Secondly, India has been touted as the next manufacturing hub and an alternative to China. However, our merchandise exports are muted, showing a decline, while some categories have seen strong growth. In this episode, we will also talk about the trend in exports and decode the reasons for the fall and how the Make in India and the PLI scheme are playing out. Let's begin. You're watching Informed Investor, The Third Empire, and initiated by Research and Ranking. Though on the face of it, the RBI is a non-profit organization, as the goal of the RBI is not to make profits but to manage inflation and help economic growth with the right set of monetary policies. It also has the dual responsibility to maintain monetary stability and overlook India's credit and currency system. And in this entire process, it does make big chunks of money. So anyway, let's begin and understand the functioning of the sole and the most important bank in the country. The RBI in the year 2022 to 2023 generated income worth a massive 2.35 crores, which is an increase of almost 47% from the previous year. Talking about the net profit, it bagged a whopping 2.2 lakh crores of profit alone. So how does the RBI generate so much money exactly? It's through a simple process known as seigniorage. In simple words, it's basically the profit the banks make by printing currency. For example, if the RBI has to print a 100 rupee note, the cost involved in printing the note is less than 2 rupees. To be precise, it's somewhere around 1.51 rupees. And when that note is put into circulation or given to a commercial bank, the bank has to pay the full face value of the note. A note that costed the RBI 2 rupees will fetch the RBI 100 rupees when put into circulation. This process is called as seigniorage. In textbook terms, seigniorage refers to the profit made by the government by issuing currency, especially the difference between the face value of coins and their production cost. And then begins the process of making more money by putting it to work. This money can be used for various purposes by the RBI for domestic and international purposes. Firstly, it can lend this money to banks for their daily needs and generate interest. Secondly, it can buy bonds issued by the government and earn interest from the government securities. Thirdly, it can buy international securities like the US government bonds and earn interest. Additionally, it can buy foreign currency like the dollar, and as and when the value increases, it can trade off and pocket the gains. In fact, the government made over 1 lakh crores from just foreign exchange transactions. And that's how the RBI generated a massive 2.35 lakh crores. And when we look at the expenditure of the RBI relative to its income, it looks like petty expenses of just a mere 17,000 crore. The major chunk of expenses are that of printing charges, employee cost, and the other government work outsourced by the RBI to other banks known as agency costs. An income of 2.35 lakh crores and expenses of 17,000 crore leaves the RBI with a hefty net profit of almost 2.2 lakh crores. And guess what? Since the RBI is a non-profit organization, it doesn't even pay taxes, unlike other corporations and banks. Another important fact to know is that the RBI is more like a fund manager. When it makes windfall gains or huge profits, it always diverts some of these profits to a fund called as the contingency fund. This is a specific provision meant for meeting unexpected or unforeseen contingencies, including depreciation in the value of securities, the risks arising out of monetary, exchange rate policy operations, systematic risks, and any risk arising on account of the special responsibilities enjoyed upon the Reserve Bank. And this year, the RBI decided to move 1.3 lakh crores to this contingency fund as provisions. Additionally, the RBI transfers any surplus money made to the government. And this year, it transferred a massive 87,416 crore as dividend to the government. As you know, the government spends more than it earns. This additional money provides a sweet cushion for the government. And well, the RBI is technically owned by the government, so it does need its share of profits. Not only this, but the government did make record-breaking dividend income to the tune of 63,000 crore from 67 listed public sector undertakings for the fiscal year 23. This implies an increase of 24.7% compared to the previous year's dividend of 50,000 crore. As per the Union Budget presented this year, the government was estimated to make 43,000 crore in the form of dividends from public sector enterprises and 48,000 crore in dividends from the RBI and financial institutions. In comparison to this, the government has already received dividends worth more than 1.5 lakh crores from the PSUs and RBI. This amount is almost 65% more than what had been forecasted in the Union Budget. In conclusion, the substantial dividends received by the government from both the RBI and public sector undertakings serves as a positive boost to the government's finances. It would benefit public finances in fiscal year 24 and provide the government with the capacity to increase public expenditure without concerns about reaching the fiscal deficit target. This outcome provides the government with additional capacity to invest in key areas and stimulate economic growth in the upcoming fiscal year. India's manufacturing sector has been getting a lot of attention and excitement in recent years. People believe it can drive economic growth, create jobs, and develop industries. There are a few reasons why people are optimistic about it. First, India has a big and diverse consumer market. This means there is great opportunity for manufacturers to sell their products to a large number of people. Second, the Indian government has launched initiatives like the Make in India and the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme to encourage manufacturing and attract investments. These initiatives aim to support both the Indian and foreign companies in setting up or expanding their manufacturing operations in India. Third, India has a favorable demographic profile, which means it has a young and dynamic workforce. This is beneficial for the manufacturing sector because it provides skilled labor at a relatively low cost. While there is good reason for optimism, there are also challenges. In the fiscal year 2022, India exceeded its export target of $400 billion, showing progress towards becoming self-reliant. However, the current fiscal year has started on a disappointing note. In April, the export of goods remained low, declining by 12.7% compared to the previous year. This situation worsened in May, with goods exports contracting by 10.3% year-on-year. When looked at the breakup, the decline was particularly evident in labor-intensive, low-skill manufacturing sectors such as ready-made garments, jute, and plastic. However, exports of electronic goods surprised all with an increase of 85% to an amount of exports worth $11 billion. Before we talk about the factors behind the muted export growth, let's take a moment to understand why exports are so important. As most of us know, exports play a vital role in the growth and development of an economy. Many countries such as Japan, South Korea, China, Thailand, and Malaysia have experienced significant economic transformation by focusing on increasing their exports. It is widely recognized that strong exports are crucial for driving development. Exports contribute to the growth of an economy in various ways. They can have a positive impact on the country's GDP, exchange rate, inflation levels, and interest rates. By exporting goods and services to other countries, a nation can increase its GDP and generate economic activity. Additionally, exports can help stabilize the exchange rate by generating foreign currency inflows, which can strengthen a country's international reserves. One of the key benefits of robust export data is the creation of job opportunities. Increased exports often lead to the expansion of domestic industries and the need for more workers. This helps reduce unemployment rates and boost economic growth. Furthermore, exports contribute to the manufacturing growth as they drive demand for goods produced domestically. This in turn leads to increased production investment and technological advancements in the manufacturing sector. Another advantage of exports is the boost to the government's revenue collection. Export activities generate income for the country either through taxes or tariffs imposed on exported goods. This additional revenue can be utilized for public investments, infrastructure development, and social welfare programs. What factors are leading to our exports being so muted, especially when India is touted as the next manufacturing hub and an alternative to China? We all know recessionary fears haunting many developed economies like the US, UK, and the Euro regions. India's export performance is currently driven by such external factors as global demand remains under pressure owing to geopolitical tensions, high inflation, and high interest rates. In the short term, India's exports are expected to remain sluggish going forward on the back of likely global slowdown. Despite the setbacks, the long-term prospects remain promising. given the country's immense consumer market, government initiatives, and favorable demographic factors. The slowdown in global growth has impacted world trade volumes. While there is lower demand in key markets, according to World Trade Organization, exports are expected to rise by 1.7% in 2023, up from the previous forecast of 1%. For 2024, the trade growth is expected to rebound to 3.2%. This shows some optimism in the global trade not completely plummeting. Once the macroeconomic headwinds subsides, we do believe India's exports can surge. This can be attributed to many factors. The production-linked incentive scheme was introduced to boost domestic manufacturing and exports by incentivizing incremental sales to make India competitive in global markets. The scheme is open for sectors such as textile products, automobiles and auto components, drugs, mobile phone manufacturing, and specified electronic components. It aims to boost manufacturing capabilities and encourage export-oriented production. We are already seeing considerable progress. For example, buoyed by friendly government policies and the PLI scheme, India is set to cross 1,20,000 crore in mobile exports in the current fiscal year, driven by Apple. Another reason is trade agreements, including FTAs or free trade agreements, can be extremely beneficial if done right. There is a growing list of countries and regional blocs negotiating trade deals with New Delhi currently. These include UK, Canada, the GCC, Bangladesh, Israel, European Union, and the Southern African Customs Union. Trade deals have already been reached with the UAE and Australia. India's move to sign free trade deals with a number of partner countries and improvements in utilization rates for those agreements could boost exports and also deepen the country's economic relationships globally. Having said that, bolstering the export industry is essential for maintaining growth, particularly given the market confidence surrounding India's manufacturing growth story. The country's export prospects are now uncertain due to the macroeconomic climate. We believe India's exports would increase as global obstacles subside and policy actions take place. With that, this is Rahul Hassan wishing you and your loved one the very best. Thank you.
Did you like watching this video? Then download our app Informed Investor to watch more such informative and interesting videos.